In this second video about M38A1 Jeeps, we're going to be talking about modifications we made to it and helping the mule. Hi, my name's Greg, and behind the camera is Jim. This is going to be our second video on this 1955 M38A1 Willys Jeep. And we're going to start with stuff we added to it. So the first thing is we have to explain this and this. This is the nose art on the Jeep, and we got this from Jim's grandfather, and he's going to explain how we got this.
So my grandfather was a sergeant in the U.S. Army, and he would receive these Army Motor magazines, and inside of them is service tech bulletins and tips and tricks on fixing all sorts of things in the military. And this particular one is October 15th, 1941, and it has a Jeep with a witch, so for, I believe, Halloween. And Greg absolutely loved it, so he went ahead and had decals made and his shirt made, and a leather jacket you had embroidered too, didn't you, Greg?
Yep.
And I have a whole bunch of these from when he was stationed in Fort DuPont, Delaware.
So a couple of the features that Jim put on this thing. First thing is we have racing seat belts because my mom's going to be 95, and last year she actually drove with me in the Jeep. So these are racing harnesses that we put in there. They work well. The next thing is Jim put in turn signals because we like to give veterans rides. So it's got left and right, and it's got flashers. We changed this from 24 to 12 volt because it's a lot easier. Over here we have 50 caliber shells for the high and low four-wheel drive, and so those two are for the four-wheel drive. This is just a fake pack of Lucky Strikes that the guys used to have. And of course we had to have this up here. That's one of my Army ducks because this is a Jeep. Okay, so let's go around to the other side. Obviously we put this axe in here like this. This is for reading maps at nighttime. We'll talk about this a little bit later. Jim had to fashion all brand new stuff to put this winch on here, and it works really well. This is our siren, and so that works pretty well too. This we'll talk about when we put up the hood. This used to be a generator to start F-86 Sabre jets in the Korean War, but now we use it for a trickle charge, and it kind of looks like this. And we hook it up to a trickle charge, so the battery's always there. This is one of my most favorites. This is a scabbard made in Milwaukee in 1942, and this is just the stock of one of my M1 Grands. So obviously I wouldn't put a real M1 Grand in there, they're too expensive. This is a 1938 fire extinguisher that we hooked up on here. The next thing is over here, this is a Korean War radio telephone. Obviously we can't get the batteries. If anybody knows where to get the batteries, that'd be great, but it doesn't work. Over here we have a World War II first aid kit, minus the syringes that are filled with morphine. And obviously a World War II shovel. Over here, this guy's name is Thomas Begay. He was a Marine, World War II Marine, Navajo code talker. My wife and I brought him and his family to our town in Elmira twice, and we took him to the World War II opening for the memorial down in Washington. He was in the Battle of Iwo Jima, but he said the worst one was the Chosin Reservoir. That's why I have the license plate Chosin Reservoir. He said that was the absolute worst one of all. So this is how we found out about the code talkers during World War II. This is myself. Michelle's taking a picture of me in a Hellcat that was shot down in the Solomon Islands. So we were diving in the Solomon Islands, and we heard about these code talkers, which was really kind of impressive. But before we get to that, this is Guadalcanal, and this is a string of barbed wire on the ridge that the Marines held. And then we were fortunate enough to meet the two natives that saved President Kennedy in PT-109. This is Biuku Gaza, one of the natives that saved President Kennedy in PT-109, with Michelle and myself, and a bust of Kennedy that Max Kennedy actually gave Biuku. Then we traveled to a different island to meet this guy, Eroni, and that's my wife dancing with him. And both those guys are the ones that saved Kennedy and PT-109 in August of 1944. So when we got back to the States, we went to Gallup, New Mexico, and found this code talker, Thomas Begay, and we brought him to Elmira. And this my wife, his wife, Nina, Thomas, his daughter, and myself here at our school. So Thomas said that the Navajo code was the only code in World War II that was never broken. And it was so secret that they couldn't talk about it when they got home from the war until 1969. Most favorite President Ronald Reagan understood the significance of the unbroken code during World War II, and in 1982 he designated August 14th to be National Navajo Code Talkers Day. In 2004, we took Thomas and his wife Nina to the opening of the World War II Memorial in Washington, D.C., and boy, was he mobbed by white Marines saying thank you for saving our lives because of that code. Thomas has met most of the presidents in the last 20 years. Here's Obama and Thomas. And then the next one is Trump. And Thomas gave Trump his business card and told him if he needs help running the country to give him a call. That's why he's laughing. Michelle and I made a giant poster of Thomas and the U.S. Marine Corps Navajo Code Talk Association, and we sent it to him. And there he is saying hello. Now, as of September 2024, Thomas is over 100 years old, and there are only 3 Navajo Code Talkers left out of 420. We salute him. Okay, now back to the modifications we made for our M38A1 Jeep. Jim and I put this trailer hitch on, and we'll show you in a little while what we have to tow around with this trailer hitch. It's pretty cool. Now, the next thing is this jerry can, because the fuel gauge doesn't work. I've run out of gas twice, and it's really messy taking this and trying to pour it in the opening for the fuel. So I have this. This works really well, and I got this off Amazon, so I can hook this up here and then I can pour it right in here. But without this, the gas goes all over the place. And when we did run out of gas, I'd have to call Jim, and he'd come over, and we'd open up the engine, we'd take the air filter off, and we'd put a little bit of gasoline in here, pour it in the carburetor, and start it up. But today, we're going to put in an electronic fuel filter, so hopefully that will not happen, and we're going to try to put in a fuel gauge that actually works. So, here we go. So another new feature that we had to put on here was a carburetor, and Jim put this carburetor in here, and the thing works really well now, because I think the floater, what's it called?
The float, I believe, was sticking inside, and the linkage was worn out.
Yep, that was the original one, and
some of the passages, I imagine it could be rebuilt, but Greg he voted to buy a new one, and we put it on, and it works fantastic.
Yeah, it's perfect. It absolutely works perfect.
We got a hand throttle on it. We got the choke, right? And
yep. And the other thing we have is Jim put on, well, we have 2 batteries in here. We'll show you that later on. But for the winch, he has this, and this is going to one of the batteries. And he also has the trickle charge. And the trickle charge,
I believe that also goes inside the
yeah, that goes inside the battery compartment, right. So the trickle charge, like we said, is over here, and the power for the winch goes to the battery, and that's both the same place. The trickle charge and the winch go into the battery. And the batteries, there are the 2 batteries.
The dual batteries, but it's still 12 volt.
Right.
Instead of 24.
Yep.
Same voltage, just twice the capacity.
Twice the capacity, okay. So we just took the seat off to get to the fuel tank, and we're going to try to put the new plunger in there. But this tank has baffles. That's why when I put the original one in here, when I put the new one in here, it didn't fit, so I had to bend it, and man, that didn't work. It didn't work at all. So this is what was in here that Jim just took out, and it is definitely too long. So we're going to try to put in a smaller one.
Yeah.
That's way too long.
So we went to put this in, but before we put it in, I wanted to check it to make sure it was working, because a friend of ours says the difference between a new part and an old part is the new one hasn't been tried yet. Well, sure enough, we put it in, and it's got infinite resistance in it, which means there's an open circuit. So I took the 2 screws out, I bent the little arm in, and now the arm is touching the resistor inside, and sure enough, now it works. We got 3 ohms for it to be full, because it's upside down right now. So the float would be up to the top of the tank. We come up, 130-ish ohms of resistance. So what we're gonna do, Greg, is in here, we're gonna take this off the fuel pump, and here this goes to the carburetor. We're gonna bypass this mechanical fuel pump with this electric one, and this has a filter there. We'll probably take this one out, and we'll put it in line here, and then this will have fuel all the time with this running with the key on. We'll wire it up that way.
Good. Because before, when I would run out of gas, we'd have to take the air filter off of there and pour gasoline down in there to start it up again.
Yeah, the mechanical pump would lose prime, and we'd have to kind of force feed it some fuel until it pumped enough fuel to get back in there.
So this will take care of that, and hopefully the new fuel gauge will help also.
So we replaced the mechanical pump with this electric pump, and now when Greg just turns the key on, he can hear it prime the carburetor. We kept the lines original, and later on I will make an adapter with a steel line to clean this up a little bit. Right now the electric pump is running it. It's coming up, filling the carburetor, and everything runs. We put a fuse in it, and we tied it into the ignition so it only turns on when the key is on and the car is running.
Perfect. So what Jim and I did is we put a trailer hitch on there, like I said, and then he made a tow bar. And what we did is, over here, we have the wires for here. They go up to here, and then they go through to there.
And this is what we tow with the M38A1.
it hooked to here on the mule. So when our M38A1 is towing the mule, we actually have brake lights and turn signals, which we just put on there because our cars come up too close to see what this is, because they've never seen one of these things before. So the next thing we have, I really like, is the whip antenna, and it has a porcelain base. And what we did is we put the cable all the way through, and now we have a CB attached to that cable, so this whip antenna actually works. So that's about what we have, and it's running fine. And as you see, the fuel gauge is actually working, which is really exciting finally. This is a little bit different. This four-wheel drive, I have to have a pliers, and I take this out and I flip it around, and then I put it back in. And I made the top black, so I know I've already done it. So there's the first one. And then in here, to engage, this is the middle one. So engage, we bring it down, and then this is high and low, and I'll keep it in low. Okay. That's neutral. So we're going to push this down, I think.
Yep.
Down. And then I want it in...
You want it in low?
Low.
Very good. You're good.
All right.
Up a little ways, we'll go.
Yeah. Oh, this is beautiful. Okay, so so what we're going to do is, we're not stuck, but I'm going to show you how to use this Badland winch. It's a great one. So we're going to hook it to that tree over there. And when you use a winch, man, you can't stand next to it, because if it snaps, it's going to kill you or smash the windshield. So you need a towel to put on top of the line once that happens. So let's go over. And we're going to put this around that tree, and then we're going to pull the winch over. So we're going to go like this to make it free. And this hanging around my neck, this is the remote control. Remote control is from here, and it goes into a box with a wire. If you didn't want a remote control, I can also plug in a cord that's about 10 feet long, so you don't have to stand next to it. Okay, so what we've done is we've hooked up to that tree. We have the blanket on there, so if it snaps, it won't kill us. We're not using remote control. We're using this, and this is about a 10-foot cord. So, if you were in a situation where you needed a winch, this Badland will work. So here we go. toggle. It's charging battery as it does this. Oh yeah, I see it. That's Elmira, New York, right there through those trees. Okay, well, I hope you like our video on the M38A1. This is our second one, and they're pretty rough. These things are really, really rough. After 70 years, it still works pretty well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a picture of my YouTube, and if you want to see a video of the M274 Mule, which was a huge pain in the butt to get to go, I'm going to put them on there right now. So all you do is you go to my YouTube channel, which is Greg Grund, hit that, and then I'll go to playlist, and in the playlist there's a whole bunch of things. So go to World War II, and in the World War II playlist there's the M38A1 Willys Jeep, like the picture you're seeing right now. And there's also the M274 Army Mule, which is right there. And if you want to see Thomas Begay, the Code Talker, or Biuku Ghazi, or Eroni Khomeini, the guys that helped Kennedy and PT-1019 survive, or any of the other ones in World War II, it's all in the World War II playlist.